Jack Reed, member of the Armed Services and Banking Committees, and Senator Angus King, also a member of the Armed Services and Banking Committee, as well as the U.S. Select Committee on Intelligence. And Senator Reed, we've talked about, other people have talked about the eerie coincidence. There's no reason to think that this is in any way, as far as you know, or have been told, related to anything that happened at Boston, right?
There seems to be no correlation between what happened yesterday at the mail facility and what happened in Boston. Completely independent activities.
Okay. As far as what we're now talking about, Senator, with what happened in Boston, we went from, you know, we're all Americans and we're rallying around it, but now we're starting to wonder how it happened, I guess. And with so much security, at this point, does it indicate that there was some type of lapse in your view, Senator?
I think the Boston police did a very thorough job. They swept the route. I think they are probably looking back at things they could and will do differently. In fact, not just the Boston police, but anyone managing a major event like this, particularly the open access of this venue. And I think also, too, there's a factor that, you know, since 9/11, we are individually, we are conscious of possibility of terror, but not as acutely as we were certainly in the days following 9/11. But I think precautions were taken. There was no indication of intelligence suggesting that there was a planned attack. They did their procedures, and then they responded significantly, magnificently in terms of the face of the attack.
Senator King, that's another thing that there's no indication there was anything beforehand. But then you just hear some of these anecdotal stuff that some of the that you see in the media, that it seemed like there was a more emphasis placed on the finish line, and then they came back and said, well, it's because last year there were so many people at the finish line. And then there were people that just, you know, that saying that there were bomb sniffing dogs around at the finish line at that point. That is all business as usual. There was absolutely sure that there was no heads up on this, right?
Well, there's nothing that anybody has heard or mentioned, and I don't have any, I think if they had any kind of knowledge like that, we'd know about it, most likely by this time. You know, this is I think one of the things up there was, I believe that last year was the biggest year they'd had.
Yeah.
They had a huge crowd, and I think that was the reason they did the extra precautions this year. But, you know, you got to think about how do you control access to a 26-mile-long event? You know, clearly they concentrate at the finish line, but, you know, there are people all along that route, all the way from Hopkinton. So this is one of the problems, is it's not a closed event like a stadium or something like that where they can check everybody in their backpacks as they go in. It would be practically impossible to do that in this case. So, no, I don't see any indication that anybody had any tips. It just certainly doesn't seem to be the case. If there had been, there probably would have been more security right there around the finish line. Let me mention something before we drop off. There's almost undoubtedly a picture of this person somewhere. It's probably on someone's iPhone or in a computer, and 1-800-CALL-FBI is the number, and they are looking for pictures of your friend finishing, and there may be the person in the background. So this is going to be one of the ways that you know, people can help. Anybody that was there that has pictures of somebody finishing or standing in front of the finish line or in that area, chances are somewhere out there in America today on somebody's iPhone is a picture of the bomber.
Senator, are you worried that the trail has gone cold, in the sense that at this point, even yourself, you're asking, obviously, viewers and others who were there to send in pictures? That may ultimately lead to something, but it also suggests that we are very far from figuring out what happened just with the apparatus that we had there.
Well, I don't know how far or near we are. I mean, we had briefings here yesterday with the head of National Security and the head of the FBI and Homeland Security, and you know, they're in the middle of an investigation. I think one of the biggest areas they want to do is to review a couple of terabytes of security camera film in various buildings and offices and banks and everything else along the route. So it just takes time. An investigation like this takes time. Nobody's claimed responsibility, and you know, you're talking about a needle in a haystack, but you've got enough people up there. I think they're going to find that needle.
Senator, Senator Reid, and I know there's a signature on a lot of these things. We keep hearing about that, and you know, we're learning about this probably, you know, as we hear media reports. I certainly don't know about about signatures, but supposedly it may have been a pressure cooker that had normal, I guess, gunpowder. It wasn't a C4. Not rudimentary necessarily, but maybe not sophisticated either. Is there a feeling, Senator Reid, that it's leaning towards a domestic, or we have no idea, no feeling either way at this point?
They have not excluded any potential source of the bomb. The bomb appears to be a pressure cooker. They have pictures of fragments of a pressure cooker. They believe it was wasn't a sophisticated explosive, probably black powder. There was obviously small nails, BBs, to create more injuries. This type of device has been used for decades across the globe in different parts of the world. It's been referenced on websites of both right and left extremists. So this type of improvised explosive device is not unique. What they're looking now meticulously in the forensic analysis is whether they can recover a DNA, a fingerprint, a serial number, a fraction of anything that might indicate who produced the pressure cooker and where it was distributed, and from there they'll follow on. And to echo Angus's point, I too believe that of the thousands and thousands of cell phones and cameras and that were present there, there is a picture that the authorities could in fact link, particularly since they've also determined that the bombs were transported in black canvas backpacks or gunny sacks. So putting that together and some other information, I think it's going to be a long investigation, but I think they will begin to winnow down suspects and begin to move.
Senator Reid, though, at this point there is no indication or any clue or any hint from or any gut feelings from anyone as to whether this is homegrown or terrorism from overseas?
Absolutely not. Again, this type of IED has been used throughout the world. It's been used by different political factions. There is this notion of a lone wolf that could have a domestic complaint or an international connection. Nothing's been ruled out. The FBI, all of the security agents and police authorities are taking this one step at a time, building a case. And I think also, too, in addition to asking for photographs, there are probably people in the Boston area that either have evidence or credible suspicions about the behavior of people, and they should come forward and let the authorities understand and put that in as part of this matrix, trying to discover who did it.
Right. All right, Senator Reid, Senator King, thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it, and we'll hope for the best here. Yeah.